All right, so let's talk about the X100VI, a camera that everyone loves. I don't think anyone really hates this camera, and of course I love this camera. I've had it over a year, I've had it over 10,000 shots, and I've still got it. I haven't changed it for anything else yet. We know that it's small, it's sharp, and it's very discreet, and it looks fantastic in my opinion. I don't think anyone can hate on the look of this camera. But I've got a question. What happens when the excitement of getting this camera wears off? For a lot of people, they still haven't even picked up one of these. They're still on pre-order. And for those of you that have managed to nab one, maybe you've got one from a scalper or whatever it might be, you're very excited to get one. But maybe after a couple of months, or maybe a month or 6 months down the line, you are starting to feel a bit underwhelmed with this camera, or maybe even bored. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me try and start with the obvious. If you're bored shooting with this camera, there's a fair chance that you're shooting the same type of things, and therefore that's the reason why you're bored. It's not just because you're using this camera, it could be any camera. You go out maybe to the same type of scenery, day in, day out, week after week, month after month, and you're shooting generally the same type of things. So of course it's going to start getting a bit repetitive, and like anything, it's going to start getting a little bit boring. The X100VI, as we know, is a fixed lens camera. You have got the digital crop, and you've seen me use the 50mm adapter in the past, and they have got a wide view adapter as well. However, the fact that you've got a fixed lens is, in my opinion, a huge strength. However, it does sort of tunnel you into a bit of a habit when it comes to the type of photos that you might think about taking. Whether you're walking the same route, or going down the same street, or you're looking for the same type of aesthetic, this camera helps you do that, but also that adds to how boring things can get sometimes because you haven't got that creativity maybe all the time. How might you change this if you're constantly going out with this camera and maybe this is your only camera? Change your subject, you know, shoot different things, whether that's animals, peoples, objects. Change from what maybe you're used to shooting. Go somewhere unfamiliar, go somewhere completely new. Doesn't matter how local it is to you. If it's somewhere you haven't been before, try going there and seeing if you can capture something new. Setting rules for yourself and limiting yourself, whilst it sounds counterintuitive and would be more boring, it really has to open up your creativity. Like for instance, no shooting anything with this camera. I can shoot 4,500 photos on this camera. Don't shoot anything that I haven't already shot. So if I've shot a picture of a cow, can't take any more. If I've shot one of a gate, that's it, no more gates for me. So setting goals and rules for yourself really help you boost your creativity. So little things like that could really help you change your perspective and change the subject, and, as this video is intends, makes photography with this camera or with any camera less boring in the long run, as you're always setting challenges and goals for yourself. And it stinks, so we're leaving, off to the next place. And just like that, we have changed locations. So the next thing I want to talk about, if you're maybe getting bored shooting with this camera or any camera, like I've said, is the fact that I probably think you've stopped experimenting. And what I mean by that is your brain has maybe gone on some form of autopilot whenever you're out shooting, whenever that might be. You raise your camera to eye level, you frame the shot, you take it, and then you move on. And maybe you still wonder why you feel uninspired to go out with this camera, and you are just getting bored of doing the same thing. With photography, you need to think outside of the box all the time. You need to be crouching, getting up high, tilting the camera, getting all different types of angles that you can of a particular shot, because you don't know if just the straight point blank shot you've got from your eye point of view is the best one. I find a lot of the time when I'm shooting with this camera, I like to flip it out like that and get a chest view. I really like that. Again, a lot of the times I try and just get different angles of the same thing, because you never quite know what will turn out the best in the end. I wouldn't be afraid to experiment, you know, whether it's shooting through a fence or framing through anything, just trying something different, you know, underexposing, overexposing, just see what works. I mean, at the end of the day, all you're wasting is a little bit of battery life and some of your SD card, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I want you to think about the fact that you're not going to get any different photos unless you change how you shoot and what you shoot. So obviously the first thing is changing our perception on what we shoot, and then this is changing how we think about shooting. So those two work in tandem quite nicely together. It's a simple idea, don't get me wrong, but I think when we're out going for a walk, or we're in the city, or whenever it might be, with family, with friends, it's something that's quite easily missed and forgotten about, I think. Now, the next point is maybe relying too much on autofocus. Autofocus does get you sharp, of course, in focus shots. However, sometimes maybe bland shots might be the word. The X100VI, for example, really shines when you take control. I think because of all the manual dials and just the tactile feel with all the buttons. I think when you understand how it all works, you do get a lot back from it if you're the one taking the photos and you're taking control of the camera. You know, whether that being picking your aperture, you know, choosing your multi-metering modes for creative shots and making sure your ISO is right. Like for me, I keep it roughly at about 500 for daytime shooting like this. And then for me, I'm constantly changing my aperture depending on the scene. And again, with my multi-metering mode, so I'm sat in the shade right now, and if I was to expose this whole scene, it'd be exposing for the shadow that I'm in right now, which wouldn't really look that great. Now, if I use spot metering, I can expose for the highlights out there in the distance and get the correct shot. So it's things like that, and again, it's experimenting like that, and experimenting is always fun. So yeah, instead of keeping this camera in automatic all the time, I want you to take it out of that, put it in manual, and then when you're taking photos, I want you to think about how you want the photo to make you feel. What is the goal of the photo? Then I would personally build the rest of the scene around that with the camera. So with the aperture ring, with the exposure. So then you can create the scene in the head that you've got and get it spot on. Don't, of course, let the camera decide the photo you take. You're in control, you need to take the correct photo. And again, that'll make things less boring because you're the one in the driver's seat, you're the one in control. I think something else you could think about is the fact that you don't need to always go somewhere new. It isn't always possible. I am appreciative of that fact. And I don't also think that you always need new gear. As photographers, of course, we love new gear, but I don't think you need it necessarily to help you feel less bored. I think a technique you can use is called resetting your eye. And what that involves is you can go to any place that you wish, and you just stand there. You have a look around, you take as long as you need before you find something new that you might like to take a photo of. So keeping in mind our last two topics that we've been talking about and our last 2 points, think about it now with a fresh pair of eyes. And, you know, it may take a while, but a lot of people don't think about the fact that you should be looking up, you should be looking down, looking at your surroundings, but just stop. Don't walk, don't go anywhere. And eventually something will catch your eye, and take that photo and just keep replicating that process until you reset your eye and reset what you're looking for, and that will really help you with your boredom. If you're trying to be more creative, think about using your optical viewfinder. This really helps your creativity because it focuses you to anticipate the moment ahead rather than always reacting to it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the back screen. However, when I want to be creative and really lock in a shot, a new shot, obviously I've shot it from my eye. So using that optical viewfinder really helps with that. And if you've got an X100VI, you can also, of course, be flicking between the different modes. The live view mode that you get, which you used to get on the old rangefinder style cameras, I really love, because whilst I don't always get the best photos from shooting like that, it just looks so cool. And it's a gimmick, yes, but it's a cool gimmick, and I think it does actually add value. So Next one is not, obviously Fujifilm is known for its custom recipes and Fujifilm recipes, but most cameras now have some form of film simulation setting within them. And I think, again, they are a fantastic way of pushing yourself to be creative, whether that's just the JPEGs or the RAWs or whatever it might be, but again, something worth thinking about. Like I've spoken about before, another great one is limiting yourself, whether that be only taking 10 photos or using one Fujifilm recipe, whatever it might be. Limiting yourself in some capacity forces you to be far more creative, because whatever that limitation is has the bonus of being more creative, or you tend to be more creative. Therefore, your shot should be less boring, or you should find photography less boring.